Alex here for StepByStepMusic.com, your source for awesome music lessons. Today's lesson is on downbeats. I'm going to give you two definitions of a downbeat. I'm going to tell you what it is not. I'm going to give you some visual examples, as in written music, and I'm going to give you some audible examples, as in auditory music, and with that, let's just proceed. The first definition I'm going to give you of a downbeat is the start of a beat. When a beat starts, that's a downbeat. Okay, that begs the question, what is a beat? And a beat is when you tap your foot, more or less. So I'm gonna play some music here for you. This is some simple music I put together. So just for us, it's purposely simple. So please no judging. And I just want you to be a listener. I want you to take off your musician hat and put on your listening hat, so to speak, and just consume the music, listen to it, and find where the beat is. Find where you naturally tap your foot. You see my head moving. That's where I'm pretty much going to tap my foot. Or move my head, or find some physical expression, find some repetition in the music. Here's what it looks like on the page. I have here written out the very, very simple bass part for this lovely song we have. And each one of these is a quarter note, and it's where and in this song, it's where we're tapping our foot. So each of these notes is the start of a downbeat. So what's not a downbeat? That's all the space in between. But we have a specific term for the exact moment between downbeats, and that is the opposite of a downbeat. That is an upbeat. And so again, with our lovely music, we have, you see my head bobbing forward. Those are my downbeats. I can even count them for you. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Each one of those numbers that I'm counting is a downbeat. Now, when my head goes back up, or when your foot hits the ground and goes back up, the crest of that motion, in other words, the moment right in between the downbeats, when your foot's in the air or your head's all the way back, that is your upbeat. Here we have eighth notes written out, and here is the exact space of one beat. And just like before, we see four of those in a measure, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And that spot in between, that's our upbeat. So this is what this looks like on the page. Right there, that's where our upbeat is. And here's where our downbeat is. Down, up, down, up. How we count this is, just like before when I was counting downbeats, I have numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, my upbeats can be and. We'll call those and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Again, you want to express that in your body, in your foot, in your head, some sort of physical expression of that beat. Let's listen to just the bass and drums this time to really zero in on the downbeat. Now the bass is just playing downbeats in this case. So listen for that. Listen for those downbeats. There it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are my downbeats. This time the bass is playing downbeats and upbeats. Let's watch on the page and listen for that happening. One and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So why do we have this term downbeats, and what do we do with it? Well, one, we have the term to be able to discuss with other players, or think about it in your own way, where you're placing that beat. Are you placing on the downbeat? Are you placing on the upbeat? And by having a term for it, it allows you to either discuss it with other people or to have a place in your own mind for it, which is very important. Now, the downbeat should also sound like a downbeat, so it should be usually a little bit heavier, a little bit more accented. So whether we have eighth notes and these notes are being accented, so bum, 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 just a little bit louder, a little bit more weight to them, or whether we have the quarter notes, in which case there's no other notes in this bass line. These are all accented. Boom, 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 boom. So your downbeat, as in the start of a beat, should have a little bit more weight to it. And as is often the case in music, we have one term which means many things, which is, of course, not confusing. In this case, the word is downbeat, and a downbeat can mean not just the start of a beat, but it can mean the start of a measure. So as we go back to our music here, each one of these, in case you didn't know, is a measure. We can also call this a bar. It's completely the same thing. So in what I have written here, we have 4 bars showing, or 4 measures. And the first beat, the first downbeat of each measure can also be called the downbeat of the measure. So my second definition of a downbeat is the first beat of a measure. And here we have the downbeat for measure 3, downbeat for measure 4. You get the idea. If we look at our 8th note example, same thing is going on. So here we have our downbeat here. Downbeat is here. Let's listen again to our example. We're going to hear the guitar coming in on the downbeat of each measure. You're going to hear a strum as well as that lovely guitar melody. Here it goes. 1. 1. 1. You'll notice the cymbal crash on the downbeat of each measure. 1. So, the downbeat can be the start of a single beat of where you're tapping your foot. It can also be the first beat of a measure. Those both of those meanings can take the term downbeat. So it really comes down to context. But in both situations, it should sound like a downbeat. So at the start of a measure, again, it should feel heavier, but it's a heavier downbeat compared to the rest of the downbeats. So let's look one more time at our sheet music here. So I have beats 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now each of those numbers, each of the 8th notes aligning with a number is a downbeat. But there's only one downbeat to the measure, and that's beat 1. And even though each downbeat usually sounds a little bit heavier than the upbeats, the downbeat of the measure usually sounds the heaviest. And when we draw in these measure lines, this isn't just arbitrary. This is actually, we're drawing in the measure lines to explain to the musician, to tell the player, hey, this is likely to sound a little bit louder. There are always exceptions. But generally speaking, your heavy beat is on beat 1 for each measure, and each downbeat where you're tapping your foot is just a little bit louder, maybe a little bit more emphasized compared to the upbeats. That's your lesson on downbeats today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have questions or requests for other videos, for other topics, please write them in the comments or visit me at stepbystepmusic.com. Thanks a lot and have a great day.